My name is Dr. Brandon Besh. I'm assistant professor of philosophy at Morningside College. As we at Morningside have moved our courses online to respond to COVID-19, I realized that there was a good opportunity to discuss some important ethical issues related to pandemics. So, in my course on Philosophy for Living, my students and I will be spending our first week in online classes thinking about our ethical obligations to one another during times of pandemic, like we're in right now. In particular, we're going to be focusing on three central topics. The first is what are called the social determinants of health. These are defined by the World Health Organization as, quote, the conditions in which people are born, grow, live, work, and age, end quote. They are basically all the things outside of diseases which affect our health. These provide an interesting starting point for our discussions about COVID-19 and our responsibilities to one another, because not all people are affected by COVID-19 in the same way. We will next move on to discuss ethics of quarantine, describing the conditions under which it is okay for the state to impose a mandatory quarantine on a single individual and obstruct their ordinarily unimpeded right to do whatever they see fit. Obviously, this is not something that we want to happen all the time, so we got to think about what are the conditions under which such a quarantine is allowed. Finally, we're going to discuss the ways in which we should allocate scarce resources, especially in times of pandemic. With COVID-19, that's going to mostly focus on things like ventilators and personal protective equipment, though eventually it could also include things like vaccines or medications. The big ethical question here is who should receive priority to these things? If there's not enough, how do we allocate them? How do we decide who gets what? These questions are complex and challenging, and none of them have an easy answer, but I look forward to creating some space with my students to think through them and to discuss them.